trees on both sides of the river. Now he brought me back to the entrance to the temple. I saw water pouring out from under the temple porch to the east. The temple faced east. The water poured from the south side of the temple, south of the altar. He then took me out through the north gate and led me around the outside to the gate complex on the east. The water was gushing from under the south front of the temple. He walked to the east with a measuring tape and measured off 1,500 feet, leading me through water that was ankle deep. He measured off another 1,500 feet, leading me through water that was knee deep. He measured off another 1,500 feet, leading me through water waist deep. He measured off another 1,500 feet. By now it was a river over my head, water to swim in, water no one could possibly walk through. He said, "Son of man, have you had a good look?" Then he took me back to the riverbank. While sitting on the bank, I noticed a lot of trees on both sides of the river. He told me, "This water flows east, descends to the Arabah and then into the sea of stagnant waters. When it empties into those waters, the sea will become fresh. Wherever the river flows, life will flourish, great schools of fish, because the river is turning the salt sea into fresh water. Where the river flows, life abounds. Fishermen will stand shoulder to shoulder along the shore from En Gedi all the way north to En-eglaim, casting their nets. The sea will teem with fish of all kinds, like the fish of the great Mediterranean. The swamps and marshes won't become fresh. They'll stay salty. But the river itself, on both banks, will grow fruit trees of all kinds. Their leaves won't wither, the fruit won't fail. Every month they'll bear fresh fruit because the river from the sanctuary flows to them. Their fruit will be for food and their leaves for healing. Divide up this land." A message from God, the Master. These are the boundaries by which you are to divide up the inheritance of the land for the 12 tribes of Israel, with Joseph getting 2 parcels. It is to be divided up equally. I swore in a solemn oath to give it to your ancestors, swore that this land would be your inheritance. These are the boundaries of the land. The northern boundary runs from the great Mediterranean Sea along the Hatlon road to where you turn off to the entrance of Hamath, Zedad, Berotha, and Sabraim, which lies between the territory of Damascus and the territory of Hamath. And on to Hazer Hadikon on the border of Oran. The boundary runs from the sea to Hazer Enon, with the territories of Damascus and Hamath to the north. That is the northern boundary. The eastern boundary runs between Damascus and Oran, down along the Jordan between Gilead and the land of Israel to the eastern sea as far as Tamar. This is the eastern boundary. The southern boundary runs west from Tamar to the waters of Meribah Kadesh, along the brook of Egypt, and out to the great Mediterranean Sea. This is the southern boundary. The western boundary is formed by the great Mediterranean Sea north to where the road turns east toward the entrance to Hamath. This is the western boundary. Divide up this land among the 12 tribes of Israel. Divide it up as your inheritance, and include in it the resident aliens who have made themselves at home among you and now have children. Treat them as if they were born there, just like yourselves. They also get an inheritance among the tribes of Israel. In whatever tribe the resident alien lives, there he gets his inheritance. Decree of God, the Master. The sanctuary of God at the center. These are the tribes: Dan, 1 portion, along the northern boundary, following the Hatlon road that turns off to the entrance of Hamath as far as Hazer Enon, so that the territory of Damascus lies to the north alongside Hamath, the northern border stretching from east to west. Asher, 1 portion, bordering Dan from east to west. Naphtali, 1 portion, bordering Asher from east to west. Manasseh, 1 portion, bordering Naphtali from east to west. Ephraim, 1 portion, bordering Manasseh from east to west. Reuben, 1 portion, bordering Ephraim from east to west. Judah, 1 portion, bordering Reuben from east to west. Bordering Judah from east to west is the consecrated area that you will set aside as holy, a square approximately 7 by 7 miles, with the sanctuary set at the center. The consecrated area reserved for God is to be 7 miles long and a little less than 3 miles wide. This is how it will be parceled out. The priest will get the area measuring 7 miles on the north and south boundaries, with a width of a little more than 3 miles at the east and west boundaries. The sanctuary of God will be at the center. This is for the consecrated priests, the Zadokites who stayed true in their service to me and didn't get off track as the Levites did when Israel wandered off the main road. This is their special gift, a gift from the land itself, most holy ground, bordering the section of the Levites. The Levites get a section equal in size to that of the priests, roughly 7 by 3 miles. They are not permitted to sell or trade any of it. It's the choice part of the land, to say nothing of being holy to God. What's left of the sacred square, each side measures out at 7 miles by 1.5 miles, is for ordinary use, the city and its buildings with open country around it, but the city at the center. The north, south, east, and west sides of the city are each about 1.5 miles in length. A strip of pasture, 125 yards wide, will border the city on all sides. The remainder of this portion, 3 miles of countryside to the east and to the west of the sacred precinct, is for farming. It will supply food for the city. Workers from all the tribes of Israel will serve as field hands to farm the land. This dedicated area, set apart for holy purposes, will be a square, 7 miles by 7 miles, a holy square, which includes the part set aside for the city. The rest of this land, the country stretching east to the Jordan and west to the Mediterranean from the 7-mile sides of the holy square, belongs to the prince. His land is sandwiched between the tribal portions north and south, and goes out both east and west from the sacred square with its temple at the center. The land set aside for the Levites on one side and the city on the other is in the middle of the territory assigned to the prince. The sacred square is flanked east and west by the prince's land and bordered on the north and south by the territories of Judah and Benjamin, respectively. And then the rest of the tribes, Benjamin, one portion, stretching from the eastern to the western boundary. Simeon, one portion, bordering Benjamin from east to west. Issachar, one portion, bordering Simeon from east to west. Zebulun, one portion, bordering Issachar from east to west. Gad, one portion, bordering Zebulun from east to west. The southern boundary of Gad will run south from Tamar to the waters of Meribah Kadesh, along the brook of Egypt and then out to the great Mediterranean Sea. This is the land that you are to divide up among the tribes of Israel as their inheritance. These are their portions. Decree of God, the Master. These are the gates of the city. On the north side, which is 2,250 yards long, the gates of the city are named after the tribes of Israel, 3 gates, the gate of Reuben, the gate of Judah, the gate of Levi. On the east side, measuring 2,250 yards, 3 gates, the gate of Joseph, the gate of Benjamin, the gate of Dan. On the south side, measuring 2,250 yards, 3 gates, the gate of Simeon, the gate of Issachar, the gate of Zebulun. On the west side, measuring 2,250 yards, 3 gates, the gate of Gad, the gate of Asher, the gate of Naphtali. The 4 sides of the city measure to a total of nearly 6 miles. From now on the name of the city will be Yahweh Shammah, God is there.